Really good piece in The Guardian by our friend and former guest on this program, Jason Stanley, about the so-called culture war that seeks to ban ideas and ban books and remove entire subject matter from an advanced placement Black history course in Florida and say these books shouldn't be here, those books shouldn't be there. And Jason very eloquently explains in this article titled "Banning Ideas and Authors is Not a Culture War, It's Fascism," a lot of the important elements of this. And he says it much more eloquently than I could. So I encourage you to read the article, which we're going to link to in the description to the YouTube video for this story. But I want to build on this in some way and tell you some of the ways in which this sort of ideology has gone very poorly in the past, and agree with Jason that we really can't. When we say this is part of the culture war, some people want to ban books and some don't. This is part of the culture war. Some people want to remove the teaching of certain lessons from school curricula, and some want to keep. It's just a culture war. It's just a disagreement. It is critical that we see it as a form of fascism. And when you look at history, when you look at regimes that have tried or did ban or burn books, silence dissenting voices, it has frequently ended in tragedy or led to absolutely horrible circumstances. You have to look at Nazi Germany. The burning of books was a tactic used to suppress opposition and impose, I guess we would call it like ideological conformity. You will conform. The Nazis knew books could be powerful tools for challenging their worldview. So they set out to destroy those books and materials that didn't fit with their narrative. The Soviet Union, where the government maintained really strict control over what people could read and write. Dissenting voices were silenced. Anyone who spoke out could be labeled a traitor or punished extraordinarily severely. In the United States, we've seen attempts to ban books. We've seen attempts to censor ideas throughout history. You go to the McCarthy era, we have these more recent attempts around critical race theory. The efforts are always about maintaining power, controlling the narrative, and suppressing dissenting ideas and voices. Now, this is a really important distinction when we talk about Orwellian versus Huxleyan, okay? Often things are called Orwellian in modern society, when really modern American culture is more Huxleyan. This book banning is actually more Orwellian. So let me explain this a little bit, and if this is interesting to you, it's been widely written about and explored. When we talk about Huxleyan, we're talking about Aldous Huxley's book, Brave New World. We're talking about a society that is kind of kept passive and under control, not through force and oppression and the banning of books, but through pleasure and distraction and entertainment. And that is mostly what we have. When we look, I mean, Fox News is the perfect example of Huxleyan. Fox News mixes opinion and news, so you can't tell which it is. It's the fire hose of falsehood. There's just tons of stuff being pumped out, so you don't even know what's real and what's not. Fox News and right-wing media match real news reporting with disinformation to the point where the average person sometimes is unclear which is the news and which is the made-up stuff. And it encourages people to be apathetic, to be superficial in their understanding of what's going on in the world, and to value entertainment. If the news doesn't entertain me, then I'm probably not watching. That's not Orwellian. Most of what we have in modern American culture is actually Huxleyan. It's you don't need to do the Orwellian stuff because people are just going to pay attention to what's entertaining. They can't really tell the difference. They're apathetic anyway. Okay. When we talk about the book banning, we are actually talking about something that is more Orwellian, where society is controlled through oppression and surveillance and control. And in a Huxleyan society, information and ideas are controlled and manipulated through culture and entertainment. And you can push ideas out or replace them with things that are more titillating or whatever the case may be. The book banning efforts are much more Orwellian because they are a direct attempt to suppress ideas and information. It's using government censorship. In the case of Florida, it's the idea of the state government wanting to change or control what is in the curriculum for that Black history course. Oftentimes, it's powerful interest groups that are controlling or whatever the case may be. It's a much more direct form of control, Orwellian. Most of American society is Huxleyan. The book banning efforts should be seen as forms of fascism, and they actually are Orwellian. We'll have more about this discussion on our Instagram, so make sure you are following us there. You can search David Pakman Show on Instagram.